From getting arrested for faking his death, to receiving 6 months in prison for crashing a plane for views, there have been dozens of cases where YouTubers were arrested for the stupidest reasons. My name's Ryan, and we're gonna explore 8 of the most infamous cases of YouTubers getting arrested, starting with the Ishowspeed swatting incident. Ishowspeed has made a name for himself online for being as loud as humanly possible.
Yo, chat, why this game so fun, chat?
His entire internet persona thrives on energetic outbursts, which might make you think that his arrest was just a harmless noise complaint from his neighbors. However, the real reason behind his arrest was far more sinister. On the 8th of August 2022, Speed was just chilling in his background when, out of nowhere, a squad of police officers stormed through his door and began putting him in handcuffs.
Come to the back. Oh, bro. Hey. Hold on, I'll tell you why. Hey, what's going on? Hey, we're doing a talk. Hey, I'll tell you why. Good. Oh, relax. Come to the back. Yo, get my phone, bro. Get my phone. It's right there.
Fearing for his own safety, Speed immediately told his cameraman to take his phone and go live to record the whole thing just in case.
Let's go live, bro. Press it, bro. We'll explain. Press public, bro. Real shit, bro. What is going on? Here, come on. We're gonna talk with you. Go live, bro.
He also kept asking why he was getting arrested, since he wasn't doing anything remotely illegal at the time. Well, it turns out, someone called 911 pretending to be Speed and told them that he was going to harm himself and his family.
Someone called the 911 center and said with your name that you wanted to hurt your family, hurt yourself. So we came to make sure you're okay.
In other words, Speed was swatted by someone who knew his address. This incident happened just a day after another prominent streamer and YouTuber, Aiden Ross, was also swatted by someone in his audience. For context, swatting is when someone makes a fake emergency call to send a SWAT team or police to someone's address to stop a made-up crime, which, as you can imagine, is super dangerous. One of the most fatal examples of this took place in 2017 when a 28-year-old man named Andrew Finch was shot and killed because of swatting. This tragedy took place when 19-year-old Casey Viner called the police and told them there was a hostage situation in Andrew's home. So you can imagine just how scared Speed was at this time. One wrong move and he could have been seriously hurt or even shot by the cops. As a concerned fan commented, "Hopefully they catch the little troll that made that call. People get killed over this stuff. It's not funny at all." However, despite Speed's desperate attempts to explain the truth of the situation, he was detained and put behind bars. When the news of his arrest hit the internet, everyone began speculating about the reason. People weren't just worried about his safety, they were also concerned about what it meant for Speed's future. Getting arrested can mean the end of a YouTube career, with channels often getting terminated. For Speed, this posed a serious threat to his rapidly growing success. Fortunately, he was set free the very next day, but it wasn't cheap, because according to Speed, Aiden Ross had to bail him out for $20,000.
How much was her bail? It was $20,000. My boy Aiden came in clutch. He paid it fully.
After getting released, Ishowspeed returned to his usual antics, and while Speed getting arrested wasn't his fault in the slightest, this isn't something we can say for the next YouTuber on our list, Prince Z. Prince Z found fame on YouTube for his prank videos that took things a step further than most other similar channels. His most popular video, for example, is titled "Beating a Baby in Public." But in January of 2021, he took his pranks too far and ended up getting arrested for it, because on the 25th of January, Z uploaded a video titled "Passing Out During Traffic in Times Square in New York City." In the video, he decided to fake being passed out in the middle of Times Square to see if anyone would help him out or not.
New Yorkers really don't give a shit, and today I'm gonna really take it up a level, and I'm gonna pass out in the middle of traffic in Times Square.
And sure enough, he got close to a cop car and fell on his steering wheel, pretending to be knocked out completely. What followed was the exact opposite of what Z hoped to show in this video. In his own words, Z said that New Yorkers don't give a shit. But as soon as he began his so-called prank, officers rushed to his car. One of the officers had to break the car's window with his baton to unlock the car and get Z's rescue.
It's parked. It's in park. It's in park. It's park. What's his problem?
I don't know.
Get him out. Get him out.
Get him out. Trevor thinks it's Sergeant.
Get him out. Let me get him out. Let me get him out. I need water.
Get him out.
Someone even called an ambulance and the fire department to the scene. And after confirming that Z was okay, he was let go without anyone realizing that this whole situation was faked in order to get views. Z even thanked the ambulance service and NYPD for taking action.
Shout out to all the NYPD, the ambulance, for taking action. I think that's the most important thing for this video.
And while his video did show the impressive response of these emergency services, him thanking them for their efforts felt completely wrong since he wasted their valuable time for content. As a commenter on YouTube pointed out, "I can't stand people like this. He wasted their time, and knowing New York, I'm sure there were people who actually needed help. Just an overall horrible thing to do." And unfortunately for Z, the classic "it's just a prank bro" wasn't enough to get him out of trouble. After his video went live, Z was arrested and slapped with multiple serious charges including obstructing governmental administration, false reporting of an incident, criminal nuisance, and disorderly conduct. These were some pretty serious charges, but we're still in the dark about what exact consequences Prince Z faced. However, the same cannot be said for Trevor Jacobs, because his legal troubles didn't just end with charges, they destroyed his entire reputation. Trevor first found success when his prank video went viral 10 years ago and received nearly 7 million views. 8 years later, he went viral again, but this time for a much more tragic reason. On the 23rd of December 2021, Trevor posted a video titled "I crashed my airplane." The video featured Trevor flying his plane like usual when suddenly, his engine stopped working out of nowhere. This left Trevor with no other option but to jump out of the plane with a parachute and watch his plane crash into the nearby mountains. He then decides to land on the mountain in order to receive the footage of the crash.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Thankfully, Trevor made it out this scary situation alive without any injuries. He also managed to recover the cameras mounted to the outside of the plane, so in the end, it all went well, maybe a little too well. Because as things calmed down, many people began noticing Trevor's flawless response to what should have been a highly stressful and chaotic situation. These suspicions only got worse because of Trevor's suspicious behavior during the incident. Like when the engine stopped working, Trevor didn't even try to fix the issue and immediately resorted to jumping out of the airplane. Second, he was also seen wearing a sports parachute, which he never wore in any of the other previous videos of him flying this plane. As a comment on his video pointed out, he also made no attempt to find a safe landing spot, even though there were multiple landing areas in an easy gliding distance. Third, though it puzzled everyone the most, was the conveniently mounted cameras on the plane that just happened to capture its crash from multiple angles. Even Trevor himself had a selfie stick ready to go, which he grabbed just before jumping out of the plane. And as you're probably guessing by now, something was definitely shady behind this entire accident. Well, it turns out, the whole thing was staged. After Trevor's video went viral, police got involved and started investigating the incident. Things got serious, and when Trevor was interrogated, he finally broke and confessed that he set up the entire thing. Because according to the California Attorney's office, Trevor did not intend to reach his destination, but instead planned to eject from his aircraft during the flight and video himself parachuting to the ground and his airplane as it descended and crashed. In other words, he did this entire stunt for views, since most of his previous videos were struggling to reach even 50,000 views. Regardless of his intentions, what he did was extremely dangerous. The plane crash could have injured or killed someone, or even worse, it could have also started a forest fire, which is already a massive issue in California. So for this reckless stunt, Trevor's piloting license was terminated, and he was also sentenced to 6 months in prison, which some people believe wasn't enough. 6 months in federal prison? Not enough, but it's a start. This controversy also completely destroyed Trevor's YouTube career, and he hasn't posted a video in over 2 years. However, in retrospect, retrospect, Trevor's crime looks insignificant compared to what YouTuber Omi and a Hellcat was arrested for. Omi and a Hellcat, or Bill Omar Carrasquillo, is one of the most extravagant YouTubers in the platform's history. From jewelry worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to an insane collection of 57 luxury sports cars worth millions, Bill was living the life that many could only dream of, which was also the reason behind his success on YouTube. Because at his peak, his channel had over 800,000 subscribers and more than 65 million views in total. But then, something happened that crashed his entire empire to the ground in an instant. You see, while many of his fans were fascinated by his lavish lifestyle, many failed to consider where all of his money was actually coming from, a question that the FBI had been investigating for some time and found all the answers to. On November 27, 2019, the feds raided his home and arrested him on the spot on charges of copyright infringement, fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. The FBI also seized all of his cars, jewelry, and the money in his bank account. So, what exactly happened? Well, it turns out, Bill was operating a cable TV piracy company. Basically, he was in charge for one of the biggest pirated movie and film company frauds in history. And this wasn't just some small side hustle or a small-time operation. Bill had actually built an entire empire with his loyal subscriber base. At the time of his arrest, his company had over 100,000 active subscribers and had generated a reported revenue of $34 million. In September of 2021, Omi and a Hellcat was finally convicted for his crimes. He was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison and received a $15 million fine, which he had to pay to the companies he was stealing the content from. The US Marshals also auctioned off all of his assets, including his many cars and jewelry. And to make matters even worse for Bill, YouTube terminated his channel, so there's little hope of him returning to online content creation after getting out of prison. With that said, at least Bill's crime didn't involve direct or physical harm to individuals. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the next YouTuber on our list, Austin Jones. Austin found his audience on YouTube as an a cappella cover artist for popular songs like Baby by Justin Bieber. His particular style of music and early 2000s pretty boy inspired appearance meant that he had a lot of teenage girls in his audience. And this alone should give you a good idea of what happened next. It's a story we've unfortunately witnessed many times before, with YouTubers like EDP445, Linemaker, and many more, and the case of Austin Jones is no different. In 2015, Austin received the opportunity to join the Vans Warped Tour. Soon after this announcement came out, a petition was filed against AustinUnchange.org by an anonymous 15-year-old girl asking for Austin to be removed from the tour's lineup. According to the writer of this petition, Austin was involved in extremely inappropriate behavior. Austin Jones is now taking advantage of his fame. On numerous accounts, he has pressured girls as young as 13 into sending him videos of them twerking. As a 15-year-old girl, I find this disgusting. These kind of actions are not okay and should not be taken lightly. While this petition failed to reach its goal of 10,000 signatures, it did spark online debate surrounding Austin's actions. As the petition went live, a number of screenshots also started circulating around the internet of Austin asking for these videos.
So this is what you do. You stand with your legs apart, you bend your legs, and then you arch your back, and you don't arch it. You do it faster, so it's like this.
In response to these allegations, he released a video titled Setting the Record Straight, where he addressed his involvement in discussions about twerking videos.
I'm under some fire on social media for mistakes I've made in the past. I used to ask fans for twerking videos. Yes, twerking the dance move. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something that I think is right. And I shouldn't have done it.
We can only imagine what was going through his head at the time. Maybe he thought that admitting and apologizing would be enough, but it did not work as well as he'd hoped. He is not sorry. He's just mad that he got caught and now he just wants to play your mind and feel sorry for him. However, this would only be the beginning of what Austin had coming for him. Because about 2 years after these allegations came out, the US Homeland Security Investigations Department arrested Austin on June 12, 2017. They found him at O'Hare International Airport since he was likely trying to flee the country. After paying $100,000 in bail, Austin was released from jail and put under house arrest. After a year and a half of house arrest, Austin pleaded guilty in February of 2019. This led him to receiving a sentence of 10 years in prison, with the earliest possible release in December of 2027. Seeing someone held responsible for their actions is always a great feeling, but it's also important to remember that sometimes the line between victim and offender is not very clear, like in the case of Pedro Ruiz and his girlfriend Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa began her YouTube career in November of 2016 in hopes of making it big one day. Family channels were all the rage at the time, so she also began posting videos with her boyfriend Pedro Ruiz on her channel called Mona Lisa and Fam. The couple started to see some level of success, with Mona Lisa's channel reaching over 40,000 subscribers. Tragically, it's around this time when Pedro had a stupid idea that would end up ruining his and his partner's life forever. After seeing some success on Mona Lisa's channel, Pedro wanted to create a channel of his own and grow to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So he wanted to start off his new channel with something spectacular, something that he'd never done before. And after all of this thinking, what he came up with couldn't have been more disastrous.
I really just want to see if a 50 caliber bullet can go through a book. So the ultimate test to see if this 50 caliber will go through a book is, I'm just not going to just set it and just shoot it. No, I'm going to stand behind it, and Mona Lisa is going to shoot it.
In short, he was going to stand behind a hardcover encyclopedia and let his girlfriend shoot at this book with a 50 cal Desert Eagle as a viral stunt. Anyone even with the slightest knowledge of guns could have told the couple just how bad of an idea this was. Sadly, Pedro and Mona Lisa went through with this plan. Pedro positioned his girlfriend 1 foot away and told her how to disable the gun with safety. While she was a bit worried, Pedro reassured her that the book would stop the bullet. She eventually agreed and shot the gun. The bullet went clean through the book and then through Pedro's chest, leading to his death shortly after. Mona Lisa was arrested after the incident and she pleaded guilty to the manslaughter charges. What makes this already horrible situation even worse is that at the time, Mona Lisa was pregnant with her and Pedro's second child. The only silver lining in her case is that despite pleading guilty to second-degree manslaughter, she was only sentenced to 6 months in prison, likely because the prosecution understood her tragic situation. And while her sentence ended a long time ago, we doubt she'll ever be able to move past the guilt of shooting her loving boyfriend and the father of her 2 children. Fortunately, not all YouTuber arrests are this heartbreaking, as some are just harmless pranks that landed the creator in some hot water, like what happened with Charles Ross. Charles Ross is one of the OGs of prank videos on YouTube. He first became famous for his Awkward Man series, where he pretended to be a very socially inept weirdo in public places like the mall and the beach. A few years later, he also started another channel called Vlog Creations alongside Ross Creations. When combined, the 2 channels had over 6.2 million subscribers and over 1.7 billion views in total. You see, the thing about Ross is that he's no stranger to getting in trouble with the law. He got arrested for the first time back in 2012 for jumping over police officers to see their reaction.
What?
And when he didn't get any notable reaction from the cops, he approached them again, which is when he was placed into handcuffs. The second time he got arrested was in early 2013 for giving people wedgies outside of a movie theater. After that, Ross managed to stay out of trouble for the next 3 years, until 2019 rolled around. That said, the reason behind his latest arrest is a bit more malicious than jumping over a cop or giving people wedgies. In April of 2019, Ross was arrested and charged with a felony for impersonating a police officer on April Fool's Day. He dressed up as a cop and tried to give a parking ticket to a woman as a prank. The woman got scared so bad that she took out her phone and started recording Ross just in case.
You're imitating a police officer? Yeah. And approach me again.
Obviously, his prank didn't work, but to make matters even worse, Ross tried to bribe the woman by giving her concert tickets to prevent her from going to the police.
He's like, my girlfriend and I won concert tickets this weekend and we can't go to it. And I'm giving them to you. You won them.
Unfortunately for Ross, this tactic did not work. She reported this incident to the police and he was arrested shortly after. Ross eventually took a plea deal and was given a 6-month probation, which is basically a slap on the wrist compared to the recommended 3-year sentence in federal prison. Sadly, no such deal was available for FPS Russia, When he was arrested back in 2017, FPS Russia, aka Kyle Myers, made his mark on YouTube as a gun-loving tough guy, showcasing the coolest firearms. His collection included everything from handguns to flamethrowers, all presented in a signature laid-back style. His content was perfectly suited for anyone who had even the slightest interest in firearms, leading to his channel's consistent growth over time. However, everything turned upside down for Kyle when his gun dealer and close friend, Keith Ratliff, was murdered. The whole incident was extremely mysterious, with investigators unable to find any leads or even determine a clear motive behind the murder. Not only did the death of his close friend deeply upset Kyle, but it also put a target on his back as he was now the prime suspect due to his close connection with the gun dealer. It wouldn't be long before the investigators made their move. Over 40 members of the ATF, alongside agents from the GBI, raided Kyle's home in search of any clue relating to the murder. The feds ultimately found nothing illegal and left empty-handed. Kyle likely thought that he was out of trouble and resumed uploading videos on his channel, but that couldn't have been further from the truth. Because in reality, he was likely on a monitoring list. This would also explain why his home was raided again in August 2017 by ATF and GBI agents. And this time, they didn't leave empty-handed, as the feds found illegal substances in his possession. The Department of Justice went after Kyle because owning a firearm while having illegal drugs is a federal crime. Kyle was arrested for felony drug possession with the intention to sell a significant amount. On top of that, the government seized 50 of his top dollar weapons worth nearly $400,000. He pleaded guilty to all the charges and was given 2 years probation and 56 days in prison alongside $7,500. And while spending nearly 2 months in prison is no joke, the biggest blow of this whole incident was the death of his career as a gun YouTuber. Kyle was now a convicted felon, and for those unaware, felons are prohibited from owning or carrying a firearm under US federal law. No guns meant no FPS Russia, which is why his channel hasn't seen a new upload in over 8 years. And it's unlikely that we'll ever see Kyle come back.